This is the story of Gordon the Big Engine Train.
Plurial time.
Gordon was built at Doncaster in 1920 to 1921 as an experimental prototype for Sir Nigel Gresley's A1 Pacific design for the Great Northern Railway. The design had faults which needed correction, so Gordon was kept hush-hush and apart from test runs, was never put into regular traffic or assigned a GNR number. He was used experimentally until all defects had been cured and the first batch of Pacifics had appeared in 1922/23. In 1923, therefore Gordon was no longer needed and was sold to the Northwestern Railway together with a spare boiler and firebox. During Gordon's early years on the railway, he often looked down on the smaller engines like Edward and Thomas. However, he would soon find he needed help from Edward to be his banker after he got stuck on a hill with a train of trucks. He also needed Edward and Henry to pull his passenger train after he broke his safety valve in front of Henry's tunnel. Gordon often found Thomas very annoying for whistling rudely at him, so he taught him a lesson by bringing him along with his express train before he could be uncoupled. Thomas usually fetched the coaches for him, but then Thomas left the yard when he was given a branch line and Gordon, along with Henry and James, became infuriated when they soon found that they had to fetch their own coaches. After the big engines had several mishaps, one of which involved Gordon having to pull his train backwards, Gordon proposed that they all go on strike. They would only pull their coaches if another engine fetched them. Edward was the only engine left, and since he was a tender engine and that Gordon proposed that tender engines do not shunt, they started to discriminate against Edward until the Fat Controller decided to leave them in the shed until they learnt the error of their ways. After Gordon, Henry and James saw how silly they were, the Fat Controller let them out, reminding them to behave and bought a tank engine named Percy to help fetch their coaches. Gordon almost had a run-in accident with Percy when the latter carelessly stood on the main line. After Percy ran away backwards and stopped in a pile of dirt, Gordon helped him out. Gordon was still arrogant and insulted Henry for the way he whistled. However, he ate his own words when his whistle jammed and he went running down the main line whistling continuously. He did not stop until a fitter climbed up and knocked his whistle in place. In 1939, Gordon went to Crewe for a rebuild. His conjugated valve gear, which had been giving much trouble, was replaced by a two-cylinder chassis. Designed by the Fat Controller, and he received a smoother running plate, as the new cylinders could not fit under the original. This rebuild effectively made him a hybrid with Stanier valve gear, running plate, cylinders and wheels, while the rest above was Gresley built. Basis. According to the island of Sodor, its people, history and railways, Gordon is the experimental prototype for Sir Nigel Gresley's A1 Pacific design for the Great Northern Railway, built at Doncaster Works in Yorkshire. Owing to various problems, Gordon was rebuilt in 1939 at Crewe. Sir Topham Hatt and Sir William Stanier worked together to rectify these problems. Everything under the running board is of Stanier's design, while the running board itself is that of Sir Topham Hatt's. His middle piston and conjugated valve gear were removed, and his 8-wheel tender was replaced with a Fowler tender. Livery. Gordon is painted in the standard blue livery used by the Northwestern Railway, with red and yellow lining. His number, 4, is painted on his tender in yellow with a red outline. During Gunvor and Peter Edwards' tenure as the series illustrators, the colors used for his number were reversed. He has a black running board with red buffer beams and valances. In William Middleton's illustrations, Gordon was a significantly darker shade of blue compared to later illustrations. His roof was blue, his wheels, buffer holes and valances were black, and his buffers were white. Additionally, Gordon is described in these editions of the book as having yellow lining, which was later altered to red in republications. Okay, thanks.